This meeting, which is hereby called to order, is in compliance with the notice requirements of law. Public notice was posted in the office of the Board of Education and communicated to the municipal clerk, the Daily Record, and the Star Ledger on March 23rd, 2018. Would you all please join me in saluting our flag? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, may we have a roll call, please?
Sure. Mr. Brucio, Ms. Dodd,
Here.
Ms. Rosales,
Present.
Mrs. Mullins,
Here.
Mrs. Phillips, Ms. Rosario,
Here.
Ms. Ruiz,
Here.
Mr. Scarnio,
Here.
Dr. Sainer,
Present.
Ms. Gillespie.
Here. All right. At this time in the meeting, we would like to ask any members of the community who have anything to say on agenda items. You've all received the agenda, and we value your opinion. And if there's anything that you would like to ask us or to say regarding agenda items only, there will be another session at the end of the meeting to discuss non-agenda items. But if you have anything regarding the agenda, now is your time to stand up and voice your opinion. Please give us your name, your address, and there you go. Anyone? No? Okay. Then I'll close the public comment portion, and we have approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Well, yes, once there's a motion and second, yes, please.
Now? Second?
I think.
Oh, thank you.
Did you second it?
No.
Oh, okay. You had a question? Oh.
Go on, Mr. Sellers.
Thank you. So I wanted to thank all of, for the hard work and time dedication with all the agenda and the minutes. I think we've covered a lot. As a parent and community member reform, I appreciate the time that you guys are, taking to do this. I wanted to ask if there is a predetermined time frame to upload the approved minutes onto our website. Because sometimes I've seen that they're uploaded at different times or not. So I was wondering if there are any predetermined that we're supposed to, or we should, or can we?
Well, one of the things that I think that I could recommend, and I'm sorry to send it over to the policy committee, but if you'd like there to be a particular, within a particular time frame, it's my understanding right now, and I don't have the policy manual memorized yet, but it's my understanding now that there's not a specific time frame within which we release the minutes. Generally, when we approve the minutes, they are capable of being uploaded or whatever. So we can certainly, go through that process and say, it will be our policy that once the minutes have been approved, we have to wait until they're approved by the full board. Once the minutes have been approved, we will then.
We generally try to get them up as soon as possible.
Yeah, if I may, that's my question. What's the practice? What's the average? Within a week, within a month, within 3 days?
I would say within a week.
Within a week?
I just, with respect to your suggestion to add to the policy committee is already working on at least 14 policies this year. And if the practice of, I'm sorry, Ms. Jenish, you said within about a week?
Yeah, within about a week.
Depending on the time, if the practice is within a week is reasonable, and it seems reasonable to me, I'd rather not explore that. And then I imagine the rest of the policy committee can voice their opinions on that.
Agree.
Okay,
I think if it's within a week, or there's times where I saw that it wasn't, and I'm wondering if maybe the process or the uploading, or if there's anything that could have, been addressed.
What kind of disaster gets done at
Yeah.
Tom, but
Like
definitely have to get these done.
Yeah.
Two missed board meetings during
Roll it
budget
down around
season?
them.
Yeah,
That'll do it.
thank you.
That'll do it.
Thank you.
Okay.
During our last, I just wanted a clarification. During the last meeting minutes, there was only 2 members plus the alternative in the Community Relations Committee. Is that correct?
In our last.
In the minutes, in our last meeting minutes, it was documented that there's only 2 members plus the alternative in the Community Relations Committee. And I think most of our committees were all, is that accurate?
That's what it says on here. This is the new one, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Just most of our committees are comprised of 3 members, correct? And not that one.
Correct.
Thank you.
What about?
Marie has served on, you've served on that before.
No, I have not.
No, Marie.
Yes,
No,
before.
you said-
Yeah. Thank you.
Do we have a vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, communications, Ms. Jenish.
I have nothing at this time.
Okay. Then we have the secretary and treasurer's reports. Had an opportunity to take a look at that. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Do I have any discussion? There being none, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Okay, Ms. Dodd,
Yes.
Ms. Grisales,
Yes.
Mrs. Mullen,
Yes.
Ms. Rosario,
Yes.
Ms. Ruiz,
Yes.
Mr. Scarnio,
Yes.
Dr. Sainer. Yes. Ms. Gillespie.
Yes. Okay. Now, I would like to turn it over to the
Well,
superintendent, Mr.
Thank
Becker.
you so much. We make the recommendation for the out-of-district placement and transportation of the special needs students as noted.
So moved.
Second.
I do want to point out number 54, that simply we require the services of a nurse, so the nurse is taking over the position of the aide, and she'll serve as both.
Are there any questions? May I have a roll call vote, please?
Okay, Ms. Dodd,
Yes.
Ms. Grisales,
Yes.
Mrs. Mullen,
Yes.
Ms. Rosario,
Yes.
Ms. Ruiz,
Yes.
Mr. Scarnio,
Yes.
Dr. Sainer. Yes. Ms. Gillespie.
Yes.
Next, we ask board permission to approve the field trips as per the attached list. As per a board member request, we did put the names of all the staff going on the trips for your edification.
So moved.
Second.
Very quick. Do we have any questions regarding that?
Just great to see so many trips.
It is.
And attached to a educational purpose, so it's really nice to see the reports of all the teachers.
May I have a roll call vote, please?
Okay, Ms. Dodd,
Yes.
Ms. Grisales,
Yes.
Mrs. Mullen,
Yes.
Ms. Rosario,
Yes.
Ms. Ruiz,
Yes.
Mr. Scarnio,
Yes.
Dr. Sainer. Yes. Ms. Gillespie.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, the next item is requesting board approval for a professional development and travel authorization. This is a professional development activities of staff.
So moved.
Second.
Do we have any discussion? May I have a roll call vote, please?
Okay, Ms. Dodd,
Yes.
Ms. Grisales,
Yes.
Mrs. Mullen, Ms. Rosario,
Yes.
Ms. Ruiz,
Yes.
Mr. Scarnio,
Yes.
Dr. Sainer. Yes. Ms. Gillespie.
Yes. And the next.
And the next thing, we just want to take a moment to congratulate the students of Dover High School, the principal, Mr. Franks, the student government. We had an activity where the students wanted to show solidarity with the tragedy in Florida. And it was one of those moments when, from my viewpoint, as I stood back and watched the activity take place, I was extremely proud of our students, our staff. The students acted with a great deal of civility. They approached this very seriously, and they actually designed the activities that were taking place to honor those students who perished in the shooting in Florida. And just showing the maturity that the students had, they developed the program, they had input into the activities that they were going to do. It was arranged by Mr. Frank with student government representatives and homeroom representatives. So it was really a student-based, student-led, student-organized in a way that the students felt that it met their needs to express their solidarity with the students. And many of them wore the colors of the school in Florida. Mr. Franks, I don't want to put you on the spot, but it was such a moving and humbling activity that we saw. Is there anything you'd like to add?
It was, you said much of it very well. The students, the level of maturity, they approached me, our student council, some students individually, but then our student council, executive members approached me and said, you know, what are your thoughts? They asked me if I had a plan, and I said, well, the purpose of this is let's develop a plan together to show that level of solidarity amongst the students, involve the faculty, and that's what they wanted to do. They approached me and said, we want to do something together. We don't want students to be penalized. We want to, what are your thoughts, Mr. Franks? And it was a great learning experience for me as well. It really reinforced the importance. I'm learning as we go here. We all continue to learn the importance of letting the students be part of the decision-making. We met, we brainstormed, we met again, teachers involved in the process as well, and they came up with a plan. We came up with it together. I had some suggestions, they had some. They were really aware of the needs of everyone, not forcing everyone to participate. They were aware of the needs of students that may not have wanted to participate. We addressed that. We put a memo together, and I think that the most impactful piece for the student leaders was the fact that they were part of signing the document that we put on our website, and I wasn't anticipating that, their excitement with that. That was actually the dynamic there in the office as I had them come down. It really gave them the significance of that signature, because they were, this is going to everyone, yes, it's going to be on the website, and it was on letterhead. It was a great experience. I think they enjoyed it. And then just the hour or so of exiting, you know, about 750 students out of the building. We had a representative from our photography company here with a drone just to commemorate it. It was in the yearbook. And he said, I've been dealing with high school students for a long time, and I've never seen that many students come out in that fashion. Just, you know, polite, quiet, somber, understanding the impact of what they were doing. So it was a great day for all of us. Thank you for recognizing me.
Thank you very much.
And thank you, Mr. Becker, and thank you, Mr. Franks. I just want to say, as a Board of Education, we really appreciate when our students and our staff can work together and can come up with ideas to collectively represent what they all feel. And I think that that's what we're striving to do, and to hear, and I heard from community members that this was really a wonderful experience for the students to be able to let us know that their voice is important. What our students have to say is important for them to tell us and for us to listen to them. So the whole collaborative thing, I just want to say personally, I think it was a wonderful thing to hear about.
Ms. Velez, I just wanted to add that I as a parent, receiving the letter, you know, was very nice to see and very welcoming to know that it's coming from the hearts of our students and of course the staff. I also wanted to add and highlight the middle school. 7th and 8th graders did a fantastic job. My daughter is in 8th grade and she participated, and you know, I don't know directly who was involved with the principal and the vice principal, but thank you so much, because it was a great experience for her, and she came home talking about how they wrote, and I can't remember exactly, but they wrote something as they were standing outside their classrooms, and she was really saying that for her it was impactful to see everyone, a lot of them participating. So I'm glad to hear that as well, down in the 7th and 8th grade levels.
The middle school was a very interdepartmental type of activity, because in English classes they wrote on the Second Amendment. They gave their opinions, whatever they may be. Instead of going outside, they did have their activity within the hallways. And once again, it was a very, very well done activity. Thank you for being here.
Okay, personnel, Ms. Rosales.
So I have an update from our personnel committee, and then on voting on the motions, I'm going to update the board in regards to what has happened. Sorry, one second, my thing locked up. The committee has met twice since our last meeting on February the 20th, with the purpose of discussing level of staffing, current openings, notice of non-renewals, retention efforts, and staff acknowledgement. We also met today, before that, we had emailed Mr. Becker in regards to some of the things that we want to move forward to in the next steps, and I wanted to share it with the board. The committee would like to receive a report providing current staff openings on a quarterly or maybe marking period basis, wherever makes most sense, possibly provided by building principals. We wanted, regarding teacher acknowledgement, we discussed about what we can do or what can be done. We are curious to see what are the school principals currently doing to acknowledge and praising teachers, specifically at the high school, since there is no PTA, and I know most of the PTAs do an excellent job with that in our schools. We were wondering if there's still guidance counselors positions open in the district, and how are the needs of students being met when the guidance counselors openings are still there, as well as other positions where substitutes are not available.
Okay.
I'm going to move then now to the motion, if there is nothing that the personnel committee would like to
Does
say.
anyone else have?
I just
Did I miss anything?
I just have a comment and a question. Thank you so much for taking on this work. Teacher acknowledgement, teacher retention, ensuring a healthy ratio of guidance counselors to students is certainly something that improves student achievement, and I really appreciate your committee, I think the three of you, working and meeting so much. I know that we have our board meetings, our executive meetings, and now additionally we've had several personnel meetings, so I recognize the effort that takes and appreciate it.
Thank you. We did meet today with the purpose of reviewing our agenda item for the SROs and the MOU, and we're going to be recommending that kind of changes. Okay. So the board committee, or the board moves to approve staff and extra services appointments for the 2017-18 school year as listed below, from number 1 all the way through number 11. Thank you.
Second.
May I make a subsidiary motion, I believe, to amend the motion to include 1 through 11, excluding 5, and having a separate vote and discussion on 5, item 5?
You can amend the motion. We would need a second on the amendment to the motion, the subsidiary motion.
I second that.
Basically, it's just a motion to separate item number 5.
Number 5, correct.
Right, so if there's any discussion about that, otherwise you could just have a voice vote on separating item number 5.
And if I may then just offer the rationale for that. I don't want to hold up a vote for 11 items when my questions only pertain to 1. So if that may be true for others, it may help us move along a little quicker to separate out that one.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to separate out 5. We have an initial motion that was seconded regarding the first.
Right, I would just deal with the motion to separate 5 first, so you could just have, you could have a...
So, can we please have a vote on separating number 5 from the approval? Can I have a roll call vote on that?
You can do both. Either one, whatever you want.
All right, Ms. Dodd?
No.
Ms. Rosales?
Yes.
Mrs. Mullen?
No.
Ms. Rosario?
No.
Ms. Ruiz?
Yes.
Mr. Scarnio?
No.
Dr. Shaner?
Yes.
Ms. Pelestis?
No.
And Ms. Plessis, if I then may have the floor?
Right, at this time, all items 1 to 11 are on.
Right, and so if I may have the floor?
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Plestis. Just a second while I apologize while I pull up what I need. So given the risk that police presence in our schools present to our vulnerable students, particularly students with developmental disabilities such as autism, Black students, and immigrant students, we need time to address the many concerns that this proposal, number 5, raises, and our board has yet to see clear language that distinguishes between disciplinary misconduct to be handled by our competent school administrators versus criminal offenses to be handled by our well-trained and competent
We took an
police
oath
officers.
to protect all the children.
Madam, I have the floor.
Only one person at a time, please allow.
Our board has not seen language that protects students' rights or that ensures transparency and accountability with regard to SROs. Our board has not seen the training manual, nor is our board aware of the training requirements of the SROs outside than the 40 hours of training mandated and required here in New Jersey. The community has yet to present concerns, if any, or questions regarding SROs to our board, and school districts that adopted this practice in the 90s as part of the broken windows theory of policing are now abandoning the SRO program in response to civil rights lawsuits and the escalation of the school-to-prison pipeline. So for these reasons, I make the subsidiary motion to postpone a vote on the MOU with the Dover Police Department until we have the opportunity to host a series of meetings with Deputy Chief Smith, both in executive session and regular session, so that both the board and the community are well informed of the role, responsibility, training, limitation, and potential adverse consequences of employing SROs, and until we have the opportunity to review language that distinguishes between disciplinary conduct to be handled by the school officials and criminal offenses to be handled by SROs, and that protects students' rights, ensures transparency and accountability, and review the training requirements. Specifically, I propose we postpone the vote until the latest, the May 8th meeting, the earliest, the next regular session, which should be in 2 weeks.
The only thing that I want to say is, at this point in time, all of the motions are up for a vote, as you would
Well,
need
this
to-
is a subsidiary motion to postpone, so this motion would take precedence under Robert's Rules of Order.
Okay. So-
It's actually not a motion yet until somebody would have to second.
This proposal
As I
for
understand, this
motion
is a
requires a
motion-
second.
Right, this is a motion to table item
Well, we
number.
already took the motion to table number 5.
No, that was not to
No,
table.
that was to separate.
That was just to separate it to discuss it
Sorry.
separately. Okay, so this is a motion, this would be a motion to table item, was it number 5? Was it the
Yes.
number?
Yes.
Table item number 5 until a subsequent meeting.
And
It
the
should be really
earliest
to a
in
definite
2
time.
weeks, the earliest 2 weeks, the latest May 8th.
It should
I think
be,
our next meeting is April 10th.
it's really a motion to postpone to a certain time, so.
Until those
it
conditions
would be
are met.
better- I think it would be better to state it to a certain time, this would be good.
Okay, so just to be clear, until April 10th. We'll leave it at that.
Personnel committee, may I, we actually discussed.
We need to have,
Well, right now, it's just a, there's
it's
just a,
just.
You need a second, and then you can discuss, if there's a second.
right, if there's not a second, then we're still discussing the main motion.
So you're asking for a second to.
To postpone to April
Number
10th.
5 to April 10th.
We do not have a second. Okay.
With the original.
We continue with the original motion, but I do want to make some comments to the issues that were raised by Ms. Ruiz. From my perspective, we have a responsibility to our community, to our staff, and to our students to protect them. That is one of our primary responsibilities other than educating them. From everything that I have read in the state of New Jersey with regard to SROs, and I'm talking specifically about New Jersey and what has been put forth by New Jersey School Boards Association and other groups that have used SROs, and in my own practice of representing over 60 school districts in the state of New Jersey, SROs have been a positive factor for our students, not only in terms of protecting our students and our staff, should we unfortunately find ourselves in the situation that has happened in so many school districts throughout the country, but also because it creates a change in the dynamic between the relationship of students and police officers. I think that it is a positive thing for our students to recognize that there are police officers that genuinely care about them, that their sole purpose is not to place those students into situations such as you have referred to, the school-to-prison pipeline. I have not seen that occur in this community. My primary responsibility, and this is my personal feeling, I am protecting our staff. I am voting to protect our students. I believe that that is more critically important than reading research that is done nationwide that may not be applicable to this particular community and may not be applicable to the state of New Jersey. We sat with the chief, and while you are saying there is no definition between the criminal activity and the disciplinary activity, the memorandum of understanding has already clarified that discipline is going to be handled by the administration. We are not going to let the SROs handle discipline. The discipline is going to be handled by our capable administrators. There is no intention for discipline to be taken over by the SRO. The SRO is here to provide safety and to provide a communication link with our students. And I think that that is critically important. The other thing is we have a discipline code. The discipline code that we have in Dover identifies those things that we would consider a criminal act and those things that we consider disciplinary. So we have that information already. And I'm not willing to wait another 2 or 3 weeks to consider things that, for my personal perspective, are not important, are not as important as taking care of our teachers and our students right now.
Ms. Pelestis, are we opening a discussion on item number 5 now then?
I was responding to your comments.
So we're not opening a discussion on 5?
We're in the middle of the discussion.
So we are?
Maybe
Okay.
actually you're on a discussion of numbers 1 through 11.
Okay, so then I just have a question on number 5, several questions, so I'll start with 1.
If I may,
Please, go ahead.
for a second, because
Yes.
I know that you had emailed the Personnel Committee with some of those questions, I'm assuming, that you're going to present, and we discussed some of them in general terms, not question by question. So I wanted to kind of read a summary of what we discussed in Personnel Committee, if you guys are good with that, okay? So one of the things that we discussed is in the MOU, being it a live document, a document that we can and have the opportunity to change, because there are, because of the safety, right? For me personally, I don't want to know that I'm not voting or moving on something, and then something, God forbid, happens in the next 2 weeks, and that is on us. And I think it's important for us to really focus on safety. I know that it's statistically is not that our district and our population for an intruder, but there's other safety concerns that can or will or have happened. And I think it's important for us to move in regards to that. And the Personnel Committee is supporting that at this point and recommending it. The delay of the MOU, I think, may put us a little bit more at risk, and at having it be a live document where we can change it is something that gives us a little more freedom to look at it with more time, because we haven't had a lot of time, even though we've met, right? And we've tried to read as much as we can, to give us a little bit more time in order to set something that is clear, and taking into consideration everyone else. We have discussed in regards to the discipline roles versus the criminal, and we have the word of our administration that the SRO is not to act in regards to any